All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. Aloha, namaste.
Hello.
This is Tezra.
And Koa.
And we are the co-host of I Am Not That podcast.
Liberating the self from the self.
So welcome back, everyone. We took a little hiatus, but now hopefully we're back full force and throttle.
Yeah, full steam ahead. And we have a very, an honor and a privilege to have Coach Simone on the show today.
But just before we get into that, though, we just want to cover a couple of things with I Am Not That podcast with the spirit circle, because there's a couple of things that we want to.
Yeah, that was your little quick
yeah
run through. We have spirit circle is something we also do once a month, where it's just like-minded or different folks trying to just get in tune with their energy and just, talk about real life stuff and figuring out how to incorporate spirituality into real life, everyday stuff and hustle and bustle and the stress and different things that come up. So we have a nice discussion every month. So Spirit Circle will be coming up in January 7th, 2021. And I look forward to that. So we'll have that in the show notes as well, how to join that. And and we also will be returning to I Am Not That podcast, where we just the two of us just kind of go over nice juicy topics. We've been doing a lot of interviews with great people.
Got one coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get back into that as well.
So listen out for that. And now, without further ado, we are so delighted to have our featured guest today.
Yes, Coach Simone. So you are a master life coach and a business coach.
Yeah.
And you also, it's ownyourpower.biz is your website.
Own Your Power Communications. Yeah, that's my company. My website is Own Your Power.
Oh, company and website. Yes. And so is it only the two different dynamics? Is the radio network and TV, or is it something else besides that?
For Own Your Power, you mean, in general?
Yeah, for Own Your Power.
No, that's the umbrella for everything that I do. So I'm a business coach, life coach, intuitive life coach. And then the radio is a great way to just to explore all the different topics that I like to cover and bring on guests that a lot of my clients, students, and the radio network we've had for going on 8 years now. And I started on AM radio in Miami, live radio. So that was good practice.
Live radio, yes.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So you are a master life coach. You also are a master Reiki teacher. You have several books out, and we're going to put your latest book out in the show notes, which is The Whispers from the Past.
Correct.
Yeah. So you have, there we go. There it is, folks. You have a very robust background. And so we kind of just want to dive in and just get to the heart of who is Coach Simone Kelly, because what you're big on is helping people to attract the life that they want. And then you also have a very interesting story that we will give you a chance to share with how you came to this point by, facing your own fears and releasing yourself of what holds you back. So if you would just take a moment and just introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure, that's a long story, but I'll try to keep it brief. So basically, my background, I'm from New York City, the Bronx, New York, by way of Jamaican parents, which is why I have 50 jobs. Entrepreneur, yeah, we have 3 jobs. No, I would like 6 jobs. But I was able to combine all my jobs under one umbrella. My dad was an architect, but an entrepreneur, and my mom was in accounting. So I come from, interesting backgrounds as far as like the entrepreneurship side. My dad, I definitely got that from him. My mother was the type that worked for corporate America for all her life, So technically, before she passed away, we used to always joke around. She used to always say, when are you going to get a real job, Simone? But she saw, she didn't understand in the beginning, how I was on the phone with clients and laughing and having a good time. Like, to her, that's like, how does that work?
Right, that's not work.
Now I'll be like, okay, love you, talk to you later. And she's like thinking, that ain't work. Like, how is that a job? And you sound like you're talking to your girlfriends. But that's the beauty
Right.
of working for yourself. You can choose your clients and you attract exactly what I said. You attract who you want. It's all about law of attraction. So all of my clients literally are become friends or family or like little sisters to me. So that's the beauty. So basically started off in business, going to school for marketing. And I also went to school for video production and what have you. But I realized a lot of my a lot of my teachers weren't making money, so I said, I'm not going to do film. I'm gonna let me get some business background. So I ended up majoring in business administration at Long Island University, and I worked as an intern in the music industry. So I was when I was an intern, Wu Tang was walking by my desk, Puffy was in my building, Tony Braxton. So I worked for BMG Entertainment, which is now Sony. They
Okay.
all combined and consolidated, whatever. So I had a really nice experience. 4 years working there taught me how to network more than anything, because after every internship was over, I always had another one lined up.
Mm.
So, and that's what I see today. A lot of people, I hate to say it, but I've noticed a lot of young people, they'll just be comfortable and they don't hustle. There's no hustle anymore. You know what I mean? So I know for me, after one job, I made sure everybody in the building knew, oh, my internship's gonna be over in June. I'm graduating this. So I made sure I always had a job right after.
Mm.
And I also had a paying job. Those were like free internships, and I had a paying job at the dentist's office.
Mm.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
So I love that. So you had foresight, right? You always stayed a step ahead in the game. You always kind of mapped out where you wanted to go in your next endeavor and how to move up, how to navigate. Give us a little bit about your childhood. How was that? Like, do you have siblings? Was there spiritual practice in your home? Or did you guys go to church every Sunday? What was that about?
and that's actually funny because I went to Catholic school, but I was raised Presbyterian. So I saw two different kind of religious backgrounds, and I was always the kid in class asking, like, well, why does Jesus have blue eyes and blonde hair in this book? And they said he was in the Middle East and his hair was like wool. So I was always like the troublemaker in class. They were like, this girl, shut up. She needs to ask many questions. And I just saw like both sides of it. Yeah, I would say very religious, but yeah, we had to go to church, Sunday school, all of that, fun stuff. So a lot of the stuff I do now, my mother would probably be like, what are you doing? Like, it's very out there and weird. Even my dad in the very beginning was very nervous, like, oh, you talking to spirits, don't do that, because I'm intuitive. But now my dad is very intuitive, and he embraces it. Now he knows, it's nothing to be afraid of. But yeah, growing up, I grew up as an only child. I have two brothers from my dad's side, but I grew up as an only child. So I was very creative. I knew how to make friends like this. I always had, that's my talent because I didn't have any siblings, so I knew how to make friends. Back in the day, how they say it's a precursor when you look at how you grew up and your talents back then. I was the producer of little shows on a tape recorder. And my friends would listen to anything. I was like, okay, you're gonna do this, you're gonna play this role, and we're gonna use the Nancy Drew books to do the sound effects to walk. So I used to have these whole like performances and do on tape recorders. This is before video cameras and stuff like that. And then we elevated in my teens to doing music videos with the big video cameras that go on your shoulder.
Mhm.
So all these little things I was already doing as a kid. I just didn't realize that was a talent. This was like fun for me. But the creative side of me was definitely there from early on.
Interesting. So let me ask you this as far as upbringing, because I'm getting the intuitive side and the very creative side. Did you was there like any opposition, especially like how many people come up and they encounter some kind of racism, or they encounter some kind of sexism, they encounter some kind of obstacles. Did you start to have any obstacles come up during your upbringing?
Not related to that. I would bring back related to the intuition though, because as a kid I used to see stuff all the time, and I would tell my mother. She's like, "Oh, going back to your bed, you're having a bad dream." She would just tell me I was making it up, and I found out years later something I used to see my dad was seeing, and
No
he
Mm.
way. So can you give us an example of something that you used to see as a kid?
has out, but I'm gonna let you know. So I was like 5, and I remember somebody was turning off and on the light in my room. And I wasn't afraid. That's how I knew I must have been already like intuitive because I wasn't scared. I was just like, there was a little girl in my room. I'm gonna be real. She looked like a little white girl with long blonde ponytail. I remember like yesterday, she had a red ribbon in her hair, And I told my mom, she looks like Happy Days because she had a poodle skirt, but I didn't know I'm a kid, I didn't know how to describe it. So I just saw her turning back the light off and on, and I had a Mickey, I remember like yesterday, Mickey Mouse, like the frame on the light switch.
Yep.
And I was like, Mommy, a little girl was in my room turning off and on the light. And she said, going back to your bed, you having a bad dream. Never thought about it again. 20 something years later now, I'm in I'm in Florida visiting my mother, and my cousin goes, yo, did your mom was telling me that story about the ghost I had in the house. I said, what ghost? I didn't know we had no ghosts. And I asked my mother, she goes, oh, I didn't want to frighten you, but your father saw the same little girl. And I get chills still look at goosebumps every time.
Yes, I did too.
So I called my dad, and my dad lived in West Palm at the time. So I called him and I was like, Dad, do you remember us having a ghost in the house? And he said, yeah. And he described to me, because I made him tell me without me telling him. So I said, what she look like? And he said, she had blonde hair and a little red ribbon. I said, oh, hell. I said, I must do the phone.
Wow.
And he even said to my mom, did you get the house blessed again or something like that? Like, you need to bless the house. That's what they must have got somebody to come bless the house. But the crazy part is, as a kid, you know how your family has a certain way to sit at the table, and it's like religious. So my mother had a seat that was in behind. I was on the left. So she just moved her seat at some point, and I didn't understand why. I was like, why Mommy, all my life I grew up with you sitting a certain way. Because my dad saw her coming out of the bathroom, skipping out of the bathroom, and the bathroom was behind her. So she moved the seat so she could see if anybody was coming. But I didn't know. Like, I didn't know any of this till like 20 something years later. So I always joke around and say, man, if they would have stopped telling me I was dreaming, I would have been walking through walls by now.
Right.
I would have been like next to the roof. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was a scary thing. But I used to feel stuff all the time as a teenager. I was very intuitive, but I didn't really understand it yet. You know what I mean? I was obsessed with psychics. I used to always go to psychics. That's for sure. But a lot of them are crooks, though. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but a lot of them not a crooks.
Yeah.
They're good. Some of them are very good, but they're manipulative. And I even weave that into my book somehow. I try to teach people that don't fall for the $20, $10 psychic, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to weave you in, and then they're going, oh, you have a curse on you. That'll be another $300 for the candles. And
Right.
I mean, I've had people come to me that have had their life savings gone from people like this because they put so much fear in you.
Wow.
But but that's, as a teenager, I've saved myself many times because I listened to my intuition. I started to pay attention to, the feeling in my body. It would tell me, nope, don't do it. Don't go there, So, but that's the only scary story I have. Other than that, everything was great.
And actually, that wasn't that scary. That's, so that was actually pretty friendly of a paranormal story.
It wasn't like, and I used that story if you ever read like A Fly on the Wall, my last my book before this, I kind of use that story, but I make it more scary in the book.
Oh,
okay.
Got it.
She's like on the bed, like with me. I make her like a little creepy, but it's for the book.
Okay, good. Did you want to have another question?
Yeah, because that's interesting. You had a very strong you've had strong intuition since way back. I'm under the belief that everybody has intuitive powers. It's just that many people, it gets subdued, it gets turned off, it doesn't get exercised, it gets told that it's not even a thing. And so then you start,
dream.
Yeah, it's a bad dream. So then you just start relating to what you see, what your 5 senses, and that's it. Do you have any advice for someone who it's just not as maybe as strong as yours, it's not as developed, but it's in there. They know they get these little feelings now and then, but they just kind of more pay attention to the real world, and that's where they keep their focus. Do you have advice for cultivating that, bringing that out?
Definitely. The way I got really good was through meditation. So I started exploring different religions and studying different things, and Buddhism was one of the religions I was intrigued by, and I started meditating and chanting. And from doing that, my dreams were like really prophetic, to the point it was like, how did I know that? Like, there's no way, One time I was in the Poconos, it was a bunch of girls, like a women's retreat, and I don't know if you guys know how, like, sometimes there's like a loft I don't know, some of those Poconos houses. It's like a loft upstairs, the living room, and then downstairs there are 2 bedrooms. So I'm sleeping in the loft. There was a girl sleeping on the couch, and I woke up and was like, "Girl, why you was talking to me so early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning about your boyfriend, and that you met him, you were with him for 11 years." And I knew all this stuff, and I really thought she was talking to me. She's looking at me with her mouth open, like, "I didn't talk to you this morning." And I said, "But you were telling me that." And then as I'm talking, I'm like, "Wait a minute, that I think this is a dream." So I literally told her, "You were with him for 11 years. You met him in front of NYU." And I was like, he ain't married you yet? It's been 11 years. So we found out in real life she met him on Astor Place in front of NYU in the Village. Creeped me out. And she was with him for 11 years, and she was secretly married. None of us knew she was married, but she was from England. So she married him to get into the country. So everybody's like, oh. And at that time I was playing around with tarot cards. I don't use tarot cards anymore. So that day they're like, "Get your tarot cards. You're really psychic. Like, give me a reading." So that blew me away a little bit. And that's how I got really good from meditating. And then my dreams started to be, I started to write down my dreams. So what I would tell people to do now is build a practice of meditation, whether it's 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. Everybody thinks you have to like be on top of a mountaintop. There's YouTube now. You can find a guided meditation that can help you. But if you get into the practice of doing that and then journaling between those two and writing down your dreams, you're going to be way more intuitive. You'll start to pay more attention to your messages that are coming to you.
Wow. Great. Thank you.
There's a lot more stuff you could do.
What'd you say? Say that again?
That's just the start. There's a lot more things you could do, but I'm just giving you baby steps.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, because I also have a meditation practice as well. And I want to kind of get into your bio on your website that I was reading. And I also had noticed you had a bindi on your forehead in your profile picture, which is really beautiful. So I kind of want you to speak to that. And then before we go there, I want to share this and see what your perspective or insight of it is, because especially in Black America, right, the majority of our culture is based off of church. And I was really entrenched in church. Like I was a Bible thumper, I was doing everything that they were telling me to do. But then at some point, something felt conflicting within my spirit. And then because it would be things, I would see things like the pastor and his clergy would eat separate from the flock, like they would eat on China while they had us out in the main. Yeah, it was like, and I was thinking, well, Jesus wouldn't do that. He would eat with the people. So why are these people, separating themselves into their own private room with a different China? We're on, portal disposables. Yeah. So something I began to feel stifled in my spiritual journey, in my spiritual quest. And so ultimately I left the church. And then, I was kind of like just hanging around for a little while until I stumbled upon my spiritual practice that I'm on now. But my thing is that in our culture, we are taught, and it's so much fear instilled in going outside of the church to see what else is out there, to see, if there's other spiritual, practices that may put you further onto your path or may get you over the fear or being a victim of society, even of seeing yourself as that. So I want to see your insight and your perspective on, what would you say to people who are thinking about, like, I know that there must be more to what this is. Church is a great start, but then they feel like they may be stifled or like there must be something more to this. What would you say to them?
Well, one of the things I can say from my experience is that a lot of it is all the same. It's semantics at the end of the day. Because I've been with Peruvian shamans. I've seen Buddhism. I've seen some, and a lot of it is so similar. Mm-hmm. But it's just the whole fear and the rules and that's what I think is what turns me off. You know what I mean? And I pretty much make up my own religion. I just take little bits and pieces of what I like from different things. You have to explore and learn. I always tell people to research other religions, not just focus on what you know. Because even when I was studying Buddhism, my mother lost her, I'm not going to curse. She lost it. Like, how are you doing that? Oh, that's devil work. And I'm like, how is this devil work? Like, because they're small-minded sometimes. They don't understand. If you don't teach yourself other things or explore, you'll never know. when I went to Peru, there was a shamans had a room, they call it mesa, which is like their prayer area. And I saw the altar, and I used to be afraid of altars. I ain't gonna lie, because I have friends that practice all different kinds of religions, and I used to be freaked out a little bit when I saw altar. Their altar had everybody on there. They had Jesus, they had all kind of Buddhas, they had everything. And I said, "Oh wow, y'all believe in Jesus? Or y'all believe in that?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's Master Jesus. That's so and so." But it just showed me like how some cultures embrace everybody, and some are just so isolated. And unfortunately, I think it's education. At the end of the day, you just have to educate yourself. We have no excuse now. We got YouTube, we got Google. There's no excuse not to explore and try to learn different things. I don't know if that I answered your question though.
Yeah, it did. It did. And that's the thing about it, because in this society, in the Western society, we are taught like Eastern philosophy and Eastern religion,
Mm-hmm.
that, they are on some, like you said, voodoo.
Yeah.
Right.
And, but not really understanding that they embrace Jesus. They share his teachings all the time. He's one of their, they follow him,
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, but some, like I said, some people. But here's one of the analogies I use all the time. I remember there was a pastor, and you might have seen it going on YouTube, where he was saying sage is evil, and whoever you see people doing sage, that's new age, that's the devil. I knew somebody actually had books on. She was a 7-day Adventist, and she had books on meditation being evil and incense being evil. And I just said, I played back my childhood going to Catholic church. Guess what? Before church starts, before mass starts, what are they doing? Frankincense and myrrh down each freaking aisle. they clearing out the spirits. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's the same thing in so many different cultures, but they just don't call it the same thing. So I just thought I just think it's funny how people are so full of fear, but they don't understand. Here goes my evil.
That's right. We have ours over here. Wait, let me go.
You gotta go get that.
Wait.
The
Here's ours, the Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. It smells delicious. Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, it sounds like a part of the answer is just like having an open mind and the courage to explore different things, so you don't get so this is the way, my way, the way,
Right.
that kind of thing, and get really trapped, paint yourself in a corner.
Right.
That's amazing. So you also you do readings for people. Yeah. Okay. So what can you take us through?
Let's get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take us through a process of how that works, like how you even how they begin, they contact you or they find you, or like how does that work?
It's through word of mouth. I don't post ads or anything on Craigslist or anything. It's through word of mouth. So I literally have, like, that's why I said it's how you attract your tribe, right? So my clients are friends of friends. So it's like I can literally go anywhere in the United States and have a place to sleep. I have, a lot of good, and that's why I'm doing my book tour too, because I have a following in different states. So it's literally like building a family tree. So I might have one client in Dallas that tells her friend, that tells a cousin, that tells another friend. And before you know it, I have like a whole group of people that are in one cluster of a city. The way I do my readings is I just need your first name, last name, age, and city. I do not Google nothing. And people always, like, people that are skeptical, they go like, well, the stuff she tells you, you ain't gonna find on Google anyway. So it's almost like me channeling, like my GPS, I call it. So if your name is John Smith, I need to know John Smith, give me a middle name and his age and his city, so I make sure I have the right person. I feel in my body what's going on with the person. I feel their chakras. So if he's something off, I feel his throat chakra's blocked, and then I'll get a little story. Oh, his throat chakra been blocked for 5 years. Something's going on in his relationship. I start talking, and he goes, "Yeah, I've been married for 5 years. I hate my wife." I'm being funny. Okay.
Right.
Might be, my wife is getting on my nerves. No, but I mean, there's people that they might have a throat chakra block and they talk a lot. They might have a big mouth and they don't even realize, but they're not saying what they need to say.
Right. They're not saying their truth.
Yeah. Or they could be open with one side of their life, like their family, and then with work, they're like on eggshells because they're pretending to be this other person that they're really not. So I pick it up in my body first, and then I write, like, pretty much before we get on the phone, I have like 2 pages of the person. Then when we get on the phone, I tell them what I got. It takes like 5 minutes, and then they ask their questions. So they can ask their questions related to a person, related to whatever I even picked up. 9 times out of 10, the stuff that I wrote down, they're gonna say, "Oh, I was gonna ask you about my job anyway. I was gonna ask you about whatever," and we'll just go deeper into whatever the situation is. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. The other thing, I am a medium too. I don't promote it too much because it's overwhelming a little bit. It's very heavy. But when I do that, I just tell them to give me same thing: first name, last name, age that they passed away, and the city that they passed away in, and the year that they passed away. And then I'll feel the person's energy, and I'll start telling them how they died first to confirm I got the right person,
Mhm.
and then the person just starts talking. Then I'm just the middle person, so I just tell them. So I always tell them, don't tell me how they died, because that's how I confirm I got the right person.
Right.
Um, so yeah,
That
and
is so interesting. I love the stories of mediums, and because I watched, I'm kind of obsessed with them, so I watched different ones. But I love how they like certain things as the spirits will let them know, like if they see a red rose or a white rose, or if they see a better, like they know what this means for you, and so they will show you that so you can communicate it to their loved one. Is that how you get messages too?
not really that. They'll literally just, I don't feel them like on me, or I feel like they're next to me, and I'll hear them. Like, it's so funny. Like the last one I did the other day, the girl, I think it was a boyfriend that passed away. I think it was really tragic, but he was shot. Young guy, gang banging or something. And he said to the girlfriend, like, I see him like looking down at her, and he was like, I like your hair. I like what you do to your hair. And she started crying, and she was laughing and crying at the same time. And she said, oh, because he didn't want, she shaved the side of her head, and he didn't want her to do it. And
Mm.
then now he was saying, so yeah, there's no way in hell. I don't see what these people look like. We're not on video. I don't even know what they look like half the time. But it was like fun confirmation. I had another client whose sister, she came through. She was a New York, Puerto Rican girl with attitude, and she was just like bossing me around. I was like, all right, calm down, lady, slow down. And
Mm.
she said, tell her, don't touch my books. Leave my books alone. And I kept seeing magazines stacked up. And I was like, she keeps talking about her books. I don't know what she's complaining about. And she goes, oh, her comic books. And because she was gonna either sell them or whatever.
Oh, she was like, no, you're not.
But that's the thing that's so crazy to me. Like, you can be passed away and you're still materialistic sometimes.
Still attached.
It's
That is
like,
so interesting. You're still attached.
Mm-hmm.
or like, leave my Cadillac alone in the backyard. Like, I've heard some crazy stories. Um, I mean, I've seen and experienced it. Yeah, so it's sad because I mean, it's confirmation for me, because in the beginning I used to be freaked out about it because I didn't want to do it. Like, I learned how to do it, but I didn't really want to do it because I don't want to see people walking around. I don't want to be in the street and seeing dead people walking by, which I don't, thank God. But it's really nice when you do have closure. So I have some clients that, that either they were mad at their mom in the last argument they had and the mother died, so that at least they can have closure when they hear that the mother forgave them or whatever. So it's that part I like. But I've changed my services where I say one one dead person per session.
Oh gosh.
Because I made a mistake one time and let this lady, she was going through the whole family tree, and I was so tired. And you want to eat. That's the thing. You want to eat. That's why there's a lot of fat psychics. After you're done, you want to ground yourself. So I end up in Five
Oh,
Guys. I want to eat a cheeseburger. I want to eat oxtail, like
Mm.
like
something very hefty, and
Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
So
I didn't.
that's interesting, because that means that I know you probably had a question, but I just want to ask this really quick. Does that mean that when you're in your medium mode and when you're receiving, is it that you're in your upper chakras at that, at that moment, and really being pulled in that way so much to where now when it's over, it's like, okay, let me come down into my
Yep.
lower chakras at this point?
Mm.
Got it. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I didn't even know. I learned from one of my teachers. I had no idea, and I was like, no, I want to eat. Like, I want to eat a lot. Like,
Yeah.
after, that's why I go to the gym. I got it. If I don't go, if I don't go to the gym, I'll be 500 pounds. No, but it's a lot of fun though, still, doing it. But I just, like I said, I limit how much I do it because it's very draining. Because that client, she had me talk to the grandmother, the grandfather, the uncle, the this, to that, and then word gets out. Yo, she talked to Grandpa Johnny.
Oh wow.
All the cousins call me, and then everybody want to talk to Grandpa Johnny.
Wow.
So it's cool. I mean, I'm not mad at the referrals, but I just have to limit how often I do it because it's too much, draining.
Wow. You know what I really liked about
That's the other thing I forgot to mention.
what's that?
Lives, which is what this book is about. I do your past lives as well.
You're a past
Oh.
life regressionist.
No, it's different. Past life regression is when we put you in hypnosis, and I have a friend that does that, Niyoshi. I can refer you her to her, who puts you in hypnosis, and you experience the past life. When I read your past life, it's different. It's like, hey, can you find out why I'm afraid of fire? I'm terrified of fire. Then I'll go into my meditation and I'll see, maybe in 1812, your house got burnt down and you ran out, or the KKK came and burnt the house down. I mean, I'm being funny, but I mean that's not funny. But you know what I mean. I'll give an example of something that I see, and the cool part though is you can see how you're connected with somebody. So like, why are me and Tanya like best friends? We just met last week and we're like best friends. Oh, me and Tanya were probably sisters in the past life, and you can kind of see the connection of certain things. But to me, I didn't believe I could do that in the beginning. I'm like, yeah, right. When I learned it, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna know this, And then we started Googling stuff, or and it freaked me out because I'm like, how did I know? Like, how did I know that? Because techniques, healing techniques, different rituals, this stuff doesn't I don't know anything about. I'm horrible with history, horrible with geography, and we will Google stuff and find confirmation about things.
Wow.
Or an example is I had a student that no, this was a client of mine who, when I read her past life, she was a man in China, and she had a big family, and she just started crying on the phone, and I said, hello. I was like, what's wrong? She said, Simone, I'm Dominican and everything in my house is Chinese, the furniture, like she was obsessed with China and didn't know why. So it gave her information, of why she's obsessed with certain places.
That's so interesting. One second. That's so interesting because I feel like this is going to be what'd you say?
I said, you look like a little kid in a candy store. I'm speaking your language. You like this fun stuff.
I do. I'm like, So I feel like when I was just sitting here, I feel like there's going to be a part 2 to this because it's already 1:30. And I'm like, okay, because
I said already, I talk a lot. Sorry.
No, that's what you're here for, and we're loving it and eating it up. But I want to get into that we are not who we think we are. Because in our society, we're so attached, and I'm not really going to get into it now because I know that Koa wanted to ask a question, but maybe we can circle back to it. But we're so attached to what we are, and those behind the curtains really play upon that. They really play that illusion of separation game really tough on us, to where it's that divide and conquer. And they do it based upon who we think we are, and as far as races and us versus them. And when we realize that we're not actually this body, because this body changes. Yeah, just a shell, and so I want to circle back to that, or even we may have to have a part 2, Coach Simone, because this is some really good stuff here. So go ahead, baby.
I just wanted to first say I really like how there is like a process of you kind of authenticating yourself, like when it's like, don't tell me this, like I'll tell you, that kind of thing. It reminds me of what I've heard from different people who are really gifted, and whether it's gurus or kahunas or shamans, like they would say things like always test a guru. Like if you're gonna start, you found this guru, you want to follow them and bow at their feet, always test a guru. Like, and this is a guru saying this, always test your guru. If your guru is who they say they are, it ain't a test at all for them, and I heard that from a kahuna that I've known. Like he would say, bring it on, baby. Like, yeah, like always. What did you say?
We love skeptics.
Yeah, exactly, because you already you know who you are, and it's not a problem. And if somebody is trying to like duck and dodge those tests, then there you go, there's your red flag. So I just wanted to say that I like that you really welcome people to make sure that they feel comfortable, that you know your stuff. So that's actually great.
And I realized, I didn't even realize this until you just said that, but the way I was taught was not the way I do readings, because I noticed that I do the little overview of your body and your chakras and all that stuff in a way to warm them up. Because once I do that, they're already in. They're like, oh wow,
okay.
All that about me, like, oh, and then they're like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. So that kind of like the icebreaker, so to speak.
Oh, nice.
The other thing I do that I think people respect is in my little overview, I tell them, wait a month, 2 months, 3 months, or a year to have another reading. Don't call me every Friday when you get paid. Because I in the beginning, I had a girl that would put money in my PayPal every week, and I used to refund it. I was like, we just talked about your boyfriend last week. You know, the same. Ain't nothing gonna change. You have to wait for things to manifest. But some people will get addicted to you, and that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you how to, you know, work on your own. You know what I mean? And that's why I like teaching classes, because I want you to embrace your own intuition. You know, you can come to me, but don't come to me every day.
Now this is what I wanted to know. With all these gifts and this intuitive gifts that you have, it may give an impression to our listener or to anybody that you don't get stuck in life because you see it coming already. Things you're already a step ahead. Do you ever, find times where you feel more on the down side, or you just not, you feel stuck, and how do you get out of anything if you do?
I would say since I've been on this path, I'm definitely way lighter and more intuitive. I trust myself a lot more. So the coincidence come way faster, and I listen to them now. I don't fight them anymore. However, I always like to get readings too. I have my whole circle of friends. We give each other readings, you know. So if we feel something, we want to get confirmation, because sometimes it's hard to read for yourself. You know what I mean? You still make better decisions than the average person, I would say, but it's good to get like confirmation. But I don't do them too often either. Just try to, like, if there's something that I'm doing, like even my move here to Atlanta was a big deal, because it was a lot of coincidence that happened that led me to say, you know what, God, I get it, God. All right, Atlanta, I'm going. So yeah, but it's not like my life is perfect and I'm amazing, and it's not. Nobody is perfect, but it's definitely takes you to another level. You're more elevated if you are intuitive, if you're practicing daily. And like I said, and like you said, everybody can do it. There's nothing magical about it. We all can do
practice.
it.
Open it up.
Mm-hmm.
You put coincidence, for our listening audience, you put coincidences in quotes, and I love that you did that, because I want you to speak on that a little bit, because a lot of the times we think that the things in our lives are coincidences, and we're not realizing that we interact with the universe on the daily, whether we know it, realize it or not, but we are actually manifesting our lives on the daily. And so all of these coincidences, whether or not it's something that is good, auspicious, or whether or not it's something that is undesirable. So can you speak to the coincidences of how, when you start to really tap into the practice, and how you start to experience the things that you want to have in your life?
So there's a book, and I don't remember the author, but there's a book called When God Winks at You, which I love the title, because that's
when God will.
God winks at you.
Oh,
I
oh,
think,
I love
isn't that cute? So
Mhm.
to me, that is like what coincidences are. It's never really it's everything is lined up. Everything's already pre-planned in a sense, and it's just being more in tune with yourself, because when things start to happen, it's almost in the very beginning, you will be freaked out a little bit, like, how did I do that, or what like that, this is weird, but eventually you start to go, oh, I got it, all right, I got the message, got it, because that's how I am now. I don't freak out anymore. I'm just like, okay, this is weird, but I get it. So it's just being in tune and practicing. A big thing for me is journaling, but I journal not to say, oh, woe was me, my life. Oh, some people just think journaling is a bitch session, complaining. But you can journal, which is called scripting, writing as if something has already happened or is happening. So I wrote about my first book that I ever did, which was a nonfiction book called Jack of All Trades, Master of None. I wrote about the line at the bookstore, that it was going to be in Barnes and Nobles, that I was going to be famous, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And like 3 or 6 months later, I got my book in Barnes and Nobles, and I had a full class, like 40 people, and I was teaching a workshop. So, and I forgot. I look back like, oh my God, I wrote about this. But it's manifestation at the end of the day. Like a lot of the stuff, if you put it out there, if you really meditate on it, you can make stuff magic happen. So
That's such a, because I've seen like vision boards, right? Sorry.
why are you laughing?
We laugh because you're like you mentioning journaling. A past guest just before that mentioned journaling. We've heard it before, and we're not big journalists. It's like, okay, I think the message is starting to come in. Like, hello, get into it.
Get chills again, right? Yeah.
Mm.
But this is what
They need to be listening to this.
yes.
Go get South Journal. This is my journal right here.
Yeah. And we have so many journals around the house. We have to actually start filling them up with
Right, a bunch of empty, beautiful looking
but
books.
she,
Empty.
but she said something. She put a twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that really struck when she says she doesn't write with what happened or what she wants to happen. She writes as if it is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Or so that's powerful.
Yeah.
But it's the energy from that begging and worry energy to like, oh, I
yes, to this, the manifestation of it. That is really helpful, Coach Simone. Yeah. Okay. That one stuck. Okay. I got that one.
Excellent.
Okay. Oh, 141. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. So in
I'm not going nowhere.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
We can always do another one. Don't worry. I'm not going.
I think we are going to have a part 2 because this is really, really juicy here. But I want to touch, before we close out this one, I want to touch on, you have mentioned when you start on the path, right? And when you start to go to those other realms, those higher levels, you start to elevate. Do you think, because I feel that from my own personal experience, this is how I extricated myself from the narrative of racism, because I understand that no one is more powerful than I am, than my inner strength. And it's when I became to know that, then I took the power back, and now I took control of my life and taking responsibility for my life. So I wanted to know from you, what is your perspective on, as we are on the spiritual path, how do one extricate themselves, remove themselves out of the racist, the narrative of racism? How do we remove ourselves from the statistics that society, bombards us with every day? And, and basically our group is always the group that gets the shittiest end of the stick, so to speak. So how do one remove themselves and take themselves out of that narrative?
To me, I've dealt with racism, but not that much, I guess, because I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to answer because I really don't have that issue.
Right, exactly. Why don't you think you have that issue? That's why I'm
on my power. I've had my own business. There we go. When I worked in corporate America, I used to have to check people every now and then because I was usually always the only white. I'm being real. I was usually like the only black person. And like when I worked in .coms, in the very beginning, I remember being the only black girl, and it was very frustrating because I would hear, "So Simone, what's going on with the Crips and the Bloods?" These are questions that people would ask me, like this.
Serious, literally.
Black friend, so how do black people have sex? These are real questions people ask me. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, this is how black people have sex. This is what one of my co-workers. I dealt with that kind of racism, but I never really dealt with any much opposition, so to speak. That's something holding me back from my success or what I want to do. So it's hard for me to really answer that question because I don't really think like that. You know what I mean?
Well, the funny thing is, it seems like
you don't really think like that.
Like you're the answer. That's why the life you live, the energy that you tap into, it navigates in a way that you don't experience it. And that's why it's hard to answer. Well, I don't get that because it doesn't gravitate towards you. It doesn't pull into your circle.
I have a joke for you. One of my teachers, she's French Canadian, and I'm not going to blow her up too much, but she never really was around black people. So she's always like, you introduced me to a whole new world. And I'm like, what's the whole new world? It's like black people. And I was like, like she used to be afraid of black people. I'm not even gonna lie. So being around her, she calls me her chocolate daughter. So it's really cute. But we're very close. She's like a mom to me. But it's just sad to know that some people are just not exposed. She grew up in Canada and didn't have enough, in the part of Canada she grew up in didn't have black people around. But I grew up in New York. I grew up around I have friends that's Italian that their mothers didn't speak English straight off of the boat. You know what I mean? That you eat dinner at their house. Manja. So I grew up Spanish, white, everybody. I have friends from every background. And that's my books even have that. Like all my characters are not just black. There's a mix of characters in my books. I have Russian, Italian, French, everybody's in there. So I think for me, as I grew up, as an only child, I made friends with everybody. I experienced everything. So it really doesn't bother me. If people are racist, I've never experienced, up to one thing that happened to me, I could tell you that's actually a funny karma story. When I was 8 or 10 years old, 8 to 10, we were 10 years old, I think maybe. and we were riding our bikes, me and my girlfriend. And this is in the Bronx. We were the second Black family on my block in the 70s. Um, and this little boy was like, "Nigga, get off my block!" He was like 12 years old. He was like, "Get off my block, nigga!" And we were like, "This isn't your block. The Indians were here first." So he would like spit on the ground whenever he saw us. He was a little Italian boy too, but he was, of course, raised by his family that was racist,
Right.
super racist. Fast forward, this is karma. Fast forward now, I'm 21, 22 years old. I'm at the gas station late at night, and this man comes up to me, look like a crackhead, face sunken in, and he's like, "Excuse me, man, can I get $1? Can I get $1?" I look in his face, and it's Anthony, the same little boy that called me a nigga.
Wow.
And I was like, "Ain't this a bitch?" And I just looked at him. "Sorry, I don't got it." Kept pumping my gas, but it made me think like, wow, look at karma.
Yeah.
And I didn't get $1. I know I could have been nice and gave it to him, but no, I didn't.
It's like, nah.
That just sounds like the power of ignorance. When you're that ignorant and that's the vibe you stay in, then your path, like you said, karmic path.
And he's
Yeah.
jail and all kind of stuff. But and to answer your question, racism is an issue for me. Like I embrace every. I have clients from all backgrounds. I have Filipino, Spanish, white. I have all kinds of clients. So that's not it.
And I think that's the important thing. And I think it's for all groups, even for you, say your French Canadian teacher who had never been around Black people. And so she was literally afraid of them because you're afraid of your ignorance. Your ignorance is what creates that fear. But I too have, varying circles, I have, where I have exposure to, all kind of peoples and all kind of background. That's one reason why, I love New York, because New York is such a breeding ground for that, but yeah, and it's expanding your circles. And because when you expand your circle, you realize that we're really all the same. Like there's nothing to be afraid of. And so it's just really like because we have both audiences listening to our podcast. And so it's just really inviting the LMs, I call them LMs, the low melanins, which we call white people, but just to understand.
LMs, okay.
The LMs, yeah, and the HMs are the Black people, the high melanins.
Okay.
But it's just to understand, for you to look at your own psyche, right? Your own dark, shadowy psyche, and see what may be lurking there about, a person who is not of your same skin hue or whatever, and to really explore that. Because it's normally because you're not, your world is just your world and you don't know anything else. So yeah. I think it's very good for everyone to, to expand their world.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really love this conversation because I've heard Tezra say many times how, people have asked her, what is it? Like almost the same question we're asking you. And she's like, it doesn't really come across my path running into these situations. And I'm the same way. It doesn't, I have to backtrack through my life and really find that moment or that one time or that one word I've heard at one, like it's very, very rare. And I really feel that the more you focus on yourself as an energetic being, as a spiritual being, that there's that energy underneath, that when you start to be more in tune with that, then you start to sculpt your path the way you want it to, not how media throws whatever they want. And you go, oh, look, they're talking about us again. And you're sitting there identifying with what's being said, and it don't even have nothing to do with you if you didn't want it to. So I love this whole discussion that is coming out that's really about, channeling your gifts and being in touch with that. But I know we're wrapping up, so we want to definitely.
So, get these last few questions in. But first, before we do that, I definitely want to get your books in, and the fact that you're going to be offering classes in Atlanta, in Dallas, and LA. So if you could tell our audience the dates of those and where they can go and find out more about those classes.
Sure. Atlanta's going to be in person. A lot of my classes I do online, obviously, with COVID and what have you, but I was still doing them online before that. But Atlanta's going to be January 23rd in Buckhead at my house. And, small group, not a bunch of people. Yeah. And January, I skipped the date. Dallas is January 10th and 11th. I'll be teaching level 1 and level 2 of Discovery and Intuition. And February 21st and 20th and 21st is LA. I'll be in LA. teaching.
And would this information also be on your website?
And if they join my mailing list, they'll get the alert as well. And if you follow me on social media, Own Your Power on Facebook, author Simone Kelly on Facebook is my fan page, and Own Your Power Radio is my fan page on Facebook as well. But yeah, I'll be posting
And your website is onyourpower.biz.
Power.biz. And I am selling my books, all of my books, on my website. However, you can also get them on Amazon, but all of my books will be autographed if you purchase them from my website.
Oh, amazing!
And this one is actually cheaper on my website. As Second Glance is my first book. It's $15 on Amazon, but it's only $8 on my site. So might want to get it there.
There you go, folks. Yeah, and Christmas is coming up. So, and just give us a little glimpse of what your latest book, Whispers from the Past, is about.
Sure. So the main character in this book is named Jacques Barati. He's a Moroccan and French intuitive counselor. Very sexy guy. Everybody loves him. And he was actually in this book as well, like a fly on the wall. And in this book, he's developed a new talent. And he's not only intuitive, but now when he looks at you or touches you, he sees like almost like a hologram of your past life in front of you. So he'll be able to channel what's going on. And he doesn't even understand it in the beginning because it's almost like, whoa, what's going on? You know, he'll literally see how he knew you in a past life, or he'll see something that you did in a past life. And it's because even I'm not vegan, but I want to be vegan again. He became vegan, so it actually helped him be clearer. And it's a real thing in real life. You know, the more you eat lighter and healthier, the more intuitive you are. It sharpens your third eye. So that's one part of the story. Then he joins forces with Like a Fly on the Wall. They hire him to help with cases because Like a Fly on the Wall is a detective agency. So they hire him to help with solving mysteries, and there's a lot of fun, suspense, past lives, juicy sex. So that pulls them in. Everybody just has sex. They don't have anything else.
Buying.
That's all people remember. I'm like, there's more to the story, and that's the thing. I weave in life lessons. I weave in, teaching about intuition. So when people read the books, they're like, "Hey, I'm like Jacques. Like I didn't know. I'm psychic too." It's nothing woo-woo and spooky. We all have it. So I try to help demystify the whole idea of being psychic. That's why in most of my books, that's my goal. And I have a movie coming out too. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, please.
It's not out yet, but we're filming in February. It's my next book that I'm working on that will come out next year, called 1544. And it's based on a man who was a sperm donor in college years, and his daughter comes back looking for him to meet him. And they both have gifts of telepathy, and they're both very psychic, but it shows that daddy's little girl isn't what she claims to be. So if you want to think about Fatal Attraction, but with the daughter and dad, that's kind of what it's going to be. So this is like a thriller.
Sounds juicy.
So we're doing a 15-minute short for that to promote it, so that I can get into contests and film festivals, and hopefully Netflix, somebody can pick it up to be turned into a feature movie.
Wow. Oh, I love it. So your book is basically like mystical, esoteric, but yet palpable to where it's like a daily is really it shows how common it is, through everybody basically.
Miami, some characters are from New York. It's very fun, down to earth people that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're definitely wrapping up. We have a few minutes. What did you want to do anything? Do you want to get into your surprise?
My surprise question? Yeah. Before we do that,
look, let me meditate. I think I know what it is.
No fair, Simone. You gotta unplug. So really quickly, could you give the best advice to our audience about how do one go about taking their destiny in their own hands?
Like I said, meditation is the number one key. Like first, once you can tap into knowing who you are and understanding who you are, then you'll follow your calling much faster. A lot of us are in jobs and careers because our parents made us do it, or society made us get a good job. And then a lot of people they might be making money, but they're miserable. So I think if you really understand who you are, if you know thyself, that's the number one start. And you know that by journaling, That's yeah.
You got that?
And look, the goosebumps are coming again. I can't make this up, y'all. When the goosebumps come, it's like that's like they want you to hear this. That's the start of really understanding who you are. And once you do that, then you tap into yourself, and you will just take, you'll listen more. You'll be more in tune, and you'll follow your calling more. That's the biggest thing. Like if you don't follow your calling, you'll be miserable.
And what is besides your lovely books, what is one of your favorite books and or quotes to share, and how has it enhanced or shifted your life?
This is a surprise question?
No.
Oh, but that's easy. I can grab it. You want me to show it to you?
Yeah, sure.
It's right here. Hold on. This is one of my favorite books ever. Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. As you can see, it's been highlighted. This is like I joke around say this is like my Bible. So this book is what I got this in 1999. This introduced me to like law of attraction.
Okay.
And that's when I really was like, oh, I have to really get into this. I need to understand this more. But yeah, this book helped me. Actually, this book has the scripting in it. That's why I learned about the scripting, where I said they call it scripting, where you write about something before it actually happens, write about
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It helped me understand that little voice in my head that was saying negative stuff, so I could get rid of it. You know what I mean? It helps you really pay attention to how you're thinking. Because I know, and I always tell my clients, get this book, your life will change in 2 weeks. That's how confident I am about this book. Like you'll literally start to see a shift in it.
We're ordering
Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by
Lynn
Grabhorn.
Lynn
Grabhorn.
Yeah, we are going to get that.
Yeah,
add that to our collection.
Help you grab life by the horns. All right.
Okay. And so our audience can find you on Instagram at how?
Own Your Power.
Own Your Power.
Own Your Power is across the board. Okay. Yep. Yeah, for Facebook,
website,
Instagram.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Own Your Power. Okay.
So we have that. It's not going to take long for this little surprise question. So we were rounding our last minute.
Yes, and the surprise question. Drum roll, please.
Wow.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
That's the one that's in the lead.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's in the what?
In the lead.
In the lead. Fuck wins with all the guests.
Yeah. That's easy. Fuck.
Yeah, for positive or negative, it doesn't matter. When it's something happens, you stub your toe. Fuck. If something goes good, fuck. Yeah. It's like it's wins. So.
Wait, yeah. That's my favorite.
You've been an excellent guest, and you know, as usual, we love these conversations because we get to learn. It's not like we're just here, you know, preaching down to folks and trying to, you know, school everybody. Like we're here, we're learning as well, and it's always something excellent to get from a guest. But this was really, really a treat. And writing, we got a lot of yeah, a lot of gifts came from this exchange. So we really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for listening. And I think we're definitely going to have to do a part 2 because I want to delve into more of the law of attraction, and we're not who we think we are. And so, yeah, Coach Simone is going to be a great enlightener of that. So Coach Simone, we thank you for giving your hour to us today on this beautiful Saturday, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. And it was such a pleasure.
Namaste. Thank
Namaste.
you.
Bye.